Because you don't want to drive them to your entire store page because that's where the consumer may get overwhelmed and not be able to decide and decide to click away.
People are obviously engaging with the products, but they're not buying it. Do we need to change the assortment that's in our storefront? What do we need to do here?
Hello.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Doing well. Glad to be here.
Good. Cool.
Loving the Miami heat.
Nice, nice. So first of all, who are you and why are you here?
I am Daniela Bolzman. I'm the founder of Mindful Goods, and I help many e-commerce brands optimize their content for Amazon.
And my name is Melissa. I have been selling consumables since 2016, based in Canada, but primarily sell in the US.
Awesome. Well, my name is Mandeep and welcome. I actually sell products on Amazon in Canada and the US, and I'm also Canadian. So we're going to talk a little bit about Amazon ads, in particular brand stores. So can you tell me a little bit about what brand stores do?
Sure. One of my favorite and probably most underutilized topics on Amazon is definitely brand store. Most brands have to figure out their product page to start selling, but really one of the lowest hanging fruits is going to be your storefront. It's one of the only uninterrupted spaces on Amazon where you don't have ads and you have complete control to convert shoppers to buy your product.
Melissa, what about you?
It's essentially like a mini website, like Daniela was saying, specifically for your products. Or even you can get granular and even double down on sub pages. And one way that we really like to utilize them is by creating sub pages for singular products and almost treating it like a landing page, right? You're gonna have a lot easier time converting your customers because all the information is there. You're kind of taking them through the brand story, but also through all the benefits, how can this solve their problem, and really take them on an emotional kind of way for them to connect with your brand and the brand values. So it's your opportunity to really let your brand shine.
I do want to add that when you have a brand store, I think it adds a lot to the reputation of who the consumer is buying from. They want to buy from a brand. And so having a brand store really hones in on that and provides that you're not just buying a product, but you're actually buying something from a brand. That ties in the reputation of where the consumer is buying the product from.
And not to mention that because you have all this control on your brand store, you can actually design it top to bottom like a landing page. So it really does become a full sales page. If you think about a Shopify website or your own direct-to-consumer website, the storefront really gives you that ability to add custom modules and do all of that amazing design. And oftentimes brands are just setting up a really basic storefront, which isn't doing your brand justice. And the other thing that I love about it is that it's actually pulling in organic traffic from Google searches. So it's basically free traffic that you're getting on another space on Amazon with or without driving ads, but it's obviously going to convert better when you do drive ads.
And on top of that, you can also run display ads or DSP to your brand stores as well.
I like the feature of adding your brand story. I think now people want to buy from knowing who they're buying from versus buying a product. So the ability to tie in that brand story into your sponsored brand store, I think is a really neat thing to do. So what is your favorite part about having a sponsored brand store?
Okay, my favorite part about brand stores in general, and this is like a little pro tip for anybody that's wanting to set up a really awesome brand store, is there's two types of video options when you are uploading content. You can have a video where people click and press play and watch with sound, which is obviously great and you should have that. But the one that everyone is sleeping on is called background videos. Have you guys done these at all or heard of them? Okay, so the background videos, when you upload them, they have no sound and they loop. So as soon as a shopper hits the page, they can see something moving across the screen or something engaging. You could have stock video of someone playing with their cat if you sell a cat product. You could have stock video of people showing the product in the frame. You could have really exciting videos that loop with no sound that feel like a GIF. And so for anybody that really wants to use GIFs in their content, this is the solution.
That's really cool. And I think your eye naturally gravitates to the video. So then you have the consumer on that page for longer, which will hopefully lead to more conversions and sales.
Absolutely.
So what are some metrics that you like about sponsored brands?
So for me, there's a few things that I like looking at. Like one of them is seeing visits versus dwell time. That's going to help you understand which parts of your content are performing well, and then you can actually replicate that in other areas. So if you have a sub page and you see that there's a lot of people checking out that content, you can then build other sub pages that are like that. So one of the other metrics that's available now is actually a rating of your store. So you can go and check if your rating is low, medium, or high, and then that's going to tell you whether it's time to invest in better content or to make some changes to your storefront. So the third area that you're going to want to check out is anything that has high clicks and low sales so that you can see what is happening there. People are obviously engaging with the product, but they're not buying it. So do we need to add a bundle? Do we need to change the assortment that's in our storefront? What do we need to do here? So those are the kinds of things that you like to look at as you're optimizing your storefront.
Yeah, one of the cool insights is that you can see any like new to brand customers, or you can track people from different sources using, DSP. So kind of getting an idea on where these people are coming from and what platforms they're coming to Amazon through. It helps us almost target them hyper specifically based on that either social media platform that they're coming from or search engine, because people who are, scrolling on social media, their intention for buying are not going to be very high versus the people who are shopping through a search engine. They're maybe in their discovery phase, so trying to figure out, okay, what is the best product for me? Asking questions like, what is the best sunscreen for people with red spots or dark spots? So they might want something with a little bit of vitamin C in it, right? So it's interesting to be able to hyper target those people when they're at that stage.
That's pretty interesting. Even when I started and got brand registry, and I would see new to brand customers and all the information that's available. I even noticed people were using Amazon's search bar and trying to find my brand. And at that time, this was 4 or 5 years ago, it was a smaller brand. But even then, people were looking for that brand and wanting to buy additional products. So that's why having the sponsored brand store is great because they're able to see then all my products that are made available to them. If somebody's interested in creating some sponsored brand ads, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
So my biggest piece of advice is to think about the entire journey. So where are they going to be landing? And have you set yourself up for success on that entire journey? Meaning, does your creative from the very beginning touch point match your creative from where that customer is landing so that there's congruency that's happening? So you're actually supporting them through their buying journey, right? So the last thing you want to have is somebody seeing an ad, landing somewhere else, and it's completely disjointed. You want them to feel like everything is congruent so that sale is more likely to happen.
I think my biggest piece of advice is to treat sponsored brand ads and sponsored storefronts as a need to have rather than just a nice to have,
Mm.
right? Because if all of your competitors or even most of them are doing the work to at least set them up and then also optimize for them, split test all the different images, you can bet that they're probably going to gain a lot more market share a lot faster than you as someone who doesn't even have it set up. Like a lot of times I see, even when I'm shopping on my own, and I'm looking from a consumer's lens because I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. Like if I go into my history, we should do like,
Oh
how much did you
gosh,
spend on
yes.
Amazon last year? How much did you spend? But it is quite a bit. But I like to go in and ask myself, okay, why did I buy that specific product over another product? A lot of times it leans into, okay, I liked the packaging. It's never usually with price. It is always about credibility. And okay, do I trust this product, especially in the consumable
Mhm.
space, right? You're very careful on what you put on your skin or in your body. So you want to make sure that they have an existing, website, but also maybe a brand store setup where I can learn more about them. And then not only that, but sometimes I'll go and actually search them up online for their office address, or even I look at their
Oh,
office
wow.
address on Amazon to see if is it like a PO box? Is it like, what kind
Ooh,
of business
pro
is
tip.
it? Like so that's just more for like a consumer protection side of things
Yeah.
and just making sure that they're a legit company and you can really hone in on your brand values as well.
Yeah, I would add that regardless of how big your brand is, whether it be big or small, don't be afraid to use these ad services that are made available to you because you can still tailor your content to the longer tailed keywords or to hone in on a very specific demographic that might be interested in your product. So don't be afraid to use it, experiment with it, and don't be afraid to dive into all the analytics that Amazon Ads gives you to be able to pivot how you display your sponsored brand store.
Yes, those are great. And obviously, with sponsored brand ads, most people, what they're doing is they're just throwing up three random products rather than being intentional about it. Whereas you can actually create maybe variations of that product, and then that way it's the same product, but you have it 3 times, and you're specifically targeting just a single product rather than, 2 or 3 different products that aren't even complementary. And then people are going to get confused because if you take a look at
Mm,
people like as shoppers, we get information fatigue and decision fatigue very quickly because there's just too many options. So you want to make it as simple as possible and just literally focus on one type of specific product
yeah.
and then have that on your
And then
sponsored
drive them to
brand
a
ads.
sub-page that is just focused on that product as well.
Exactly.
Yes, because you don't want to drive them to your entire store subpage or your entire store page because you might have products in different categories.
Right.
And that's where the consumer may get overwhelmed and not be able to decide and decide to click away. What should be some goals for sponsored brands advertising?
I think it depends on the stage that the brand is at. If a brand is really early stage, they're at a point of like getting awareness and obviously they want to get some sales. And so oftentimes what'll happen is that they'll drive ads directly to a product page. But sometimes if you're driving ads to that product page, you're going to get distracted with lots of ads and potentially lose some of those customers. So a great place to be with your ads is driving them to a sub page on your storefront and trying to get more conversions that way so you can educate them at the same time, keep their attention, and get them buying.
We're in the business of selling brands, not just products. So if you're thinking long term, not just how can I expand my catalog, but how can I grow my brand so that not only is it, well known on Amazon, it's almost like a household name on Amazon and it's recognizable. So making sure that maybe your packaging is consistent, but not only that, but taking that into your brand store as well. And I think one of the main goals is realizing you're not going to see a return on investment immediately, but you're playing the long game where you're investing in building a bigger picture for the products that you're selling, and you're almost wanting to treat it like it's a stage, right? Not a shelf.
So, ladies, thank you so much for your time. I hope you found value in all the things we talked about in regards to Amazon ads and see you in the next episode.